I guess
Yeah.
like the first thing with regards to layer ones or layer twos for that matter. Maybe I can just stick with layer ones for now.
Hmm.
Um, I, I guess like the first thing to keep in mind is just stay away from like a lot of noise because I mean obviously ZK is certainly something I'm really bullish on, but not now. Theoretically, maybe in the next 5-10 years, because this is something like I think in those who were active in the scene back in 2019 may have seen like there were just too many ZK narratives going on, like with one researcher just copy pasting most of the stuff, and
Right.
so they were like major like quote unquote breakthroughs and hype like what we have going right now, like every 2-3 weeks. And then the second that's the first part is basically just fade, like stay away from noise. Second thing is, I mean, ask yourself like if you were in the if you were sitting at like a TradFi or some non-crypto hedge fund, would you want to use a dial-up internet or would you like to use fiber optics?
I mean, obviously, fiber optics, right?
Exactly. So hence like I'm actually more, I mean, like personally, I tend to use more of the faster chains, and I think TPS is obviously like a very marketing metric. It's not real. What I care about is the TTF, the time to finality, and if that is like at like less than 1 second, I'm more than happy. Yeah,
Sorry,
that's definitely one
less
thing.
than, sorry, what?
Less than 1 second of TTF.
Right, less than 1 second in TPS.
TTF,
Sorry, how do you define that?
time to finality.
Oh, time to finality. Got it, got it, got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so that's definitely one thing. So like I always ask people like who kind of ask me, what do you think of Ethereum, yada yada yada. I'm like, do you want to use dial-up internet or do you want to use fiber optics? That's all I ask. Like
So
like you
you're
can't,
more bullish on the alternative layer ones that actually can do finality a lot faster.
for sure. Like that's
Mm,
the only space where you can actually have real applications coming on board. Like you
mm.
could not have most of the applications that we have today. Like for example, even this Twitter AMA space on the dial-up internet. Can you imagine how the experience would be?
Right, and like multiple spaces going at the same time. Yeah, so definitely. What about is there something
And
like
then
on-chain
like
data? Sorry, go ahead.
and then oh yeah, so with regards to the consensus mechanism, I think that's like a super overhyped um, you know, term out there. Because like
But
it can be
isn't
anything
consensus
like
mechanism also kind of like in the conversation with finality? Because like
oh it
if you see
is. I
what
guess
they're how they're like dividing consensus right now, especially monolithic modular conversation, that's
oh
exactly
yeah,
what they're doing, right?
for sure. I guess for the change that kind of fit the more faster narrative, and if you want to kind of decide between them, I guess like consensus mechanism is super overhyped. Like it can be BFT, it can be DAG consensus or whatever. Um, but the thing is, I think the BFT and DAG consensus, which are kind of different from one another, they're actually pretty okay to be used, to be honest, because these technologies have been there since the last 35 years or something, and they have been tried out, tested through everything, and it's kind of safe to use right now. So like, I wouldn't really focus too much on it. Like it is definitely something important, but not to the hype where people kind of write 10-15 pages of investment memo for that. So and then the third thing is how is the developer language is like, right? That's super important.
Okay.
For
Does
example,
that yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, please go on.
No, no, no. I'm just wondering if that actually impacts. I know, Solana, Rust. Like I'm not a developer, so I wouldn't know how to speak about it too much. But I know like a lot of people prefer the ease of the language. Also, like I think for Ethereum, a lot of people are, like especially, being EVM compatible. I know like for a lot of developers, it's like necessary for them to have that, like EVM compatibility with their, with whatever they're building. So there's like two kind of like, I guess two schools of thought to it, right? Where you have your own independent language that's built on something that's not EVM compatible, and you have like EVM compatible languages that's a little harder to build on. But I'm just wondering if there's like like especially with new protocols like Aptos coming out or Sui coming out, where the languages like move, right? And I think it's a variation of like an existing language that I've heard. But yeah, maybe explain a little more on like what you mean by, like why language is important.
Sure thing. Yeah, and I guess with regards to Rust, right? Like, I don't know why a lot of people in the crypto community complain about it, to be honest. Because if you go out to the TradFi side, like, I'm gonna like, if I ask like one of my uncles who is like I think 55 or something, he knows Rust by the back of his mind, and
Mm,
so do other most of his colleagues. Like, this is something basic. If you're a computer science engineer or something, you must have learned this in school. So I really don't get why people are kind of attacking Rust. Like, it's so tough to use and everything. Like, Solidity is
mm,
for
mm,
sure
mm.
easier, but security matters too.